Okay, I want to welcome everybody. This is our twice a week series that we've been doing for the last several weeks. And what we're doing is we are continuing to address and discuss with people in different parts of society about how their areas of society are being impacted by the pandemic. And I've got with me today longtime friend and executive director of Heart Gallery, Alabama, Michelle Bearman-Wolnek with us. Good afternoon, Michelle. Good to see you as always.
Good to be here.
Well, I appreciate you making a few minutes with us today. And guys, what we want to talk about is how the foster care system and a little bit about adoptions, how this part of our world is adapting and dealing with the impact of the pandemic. And before we really get into that, Michelle, if you would tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about Heart Gallery Alabama.
Sure. Heart Gallery Alabama has just entered their 15th year. We were founded, really our mission is to help promote adoption of children that are living in foster care. Most of the children we work with are children who are between the ages of 8 and 21, or they're part of a sibling group that makes them more of a challenge to find a home, or they have a special medical condition. So we're typically working with children whose parental rights have already been terminated and they have been in foster care for the last several years typically.
And you guys you're based in Homewood, but your work is really throughout the state, is it not?
Correct. We are a statewide nonprofit. We get all of our referrals. Every child that we work with is in custody at DHR, and we fulfill our mission by utilizing photography. So like you can see behind me some beautiful portraits that we get professional photographers who photograph our children, and then we interview them, and they each have their own personal video on their website. They have their own personal web page. So prospective families can learn more about available children without really having to see them face to face, without ever having to meet with them face to face, where they could potentially feel a sense of rejection or that sort of thing. So they don't actually get to meet them until they know their background summary and they're approved to be an adoptive resource.
Okay, and I'm putting in the comments section of our discussion the clickable link to the website for Heart Gallery Alabama. And we'll come back to that in just a minute. But how was Heart Gallery impacted initially by the pandemic? And then how have you guys kind of pivoted or changed a little bit of how you do your work?
Right. I think there's nobody that wasn't touched by the impact of the pandemic. And we are, fortunately, our office is a small group of people. While we do service the entire state, we're an office of 4. And so we were easily able to move home and work from home and work remotely as an office. But one of the things that was truly impacted was our ability to reach the children and being able to continue to photograph our children. The majority of the children that we serve live in some form of congregate housing. So they might be in a facility, a behavioral facility, a medical facility, or a group home. And so being able to reach out to those children and photograph them and be able to recruit for them has become a pretty big challenge. They don't have computers. So being able to interview them like this is not a possibility. And then we're also trying to work with caseworkers, and our caseworkers also all moved remotely. And that, if anybody has ever worked, with any kind of government agency, they're not very flexible. So they don't use Zoom and they don't use social media. So being able, they couldn't even really respond to emails in the beginning from home. Now they can, but just things like that really caused it to be a challenge. And the number of children entering care has also risen, but because, kids are home, parents are home without support, and in the best of scenarios, it's a stressful situation. And in this scenario, we have a lot of kids at risk. So it was a challenging time for a good period of time. Currently, though, we have been able to slowly start coming back. We're back working in the office, most of us. Some of us are going to continue to work from home to remain that social distance. But as far as our face-to-face with our children, we have started back with small photo shoots. We've changed our policy in that we're doing all of our photo shoots and videos are outside so that we can remain socially distant, except for we do take one child in at a time to do our interview. And we give each child enough time where they're not going to interact with any other child that they're not living with. If they're living together, they can come together. Thankfully, photography is something we can do, 6 feet away. We learned that cell phone shots are just not helpful. We are not getting, kids placed with these cell phone shots, and we needed the professional photography. So thankfully that is starting back. The other thing that we found really interesting was while everybody was at home, they were on our website. Our inquiries from prospective adoptive families, both those who had already had a home study and those who are interested, increased over 25%. Especially during March and April, which made what we were doing a little more challenging because we really wanted the kids that were waiting to get on the website. We wanted them on the website as soon as possible because we had like the attention of this, this audience that we hadn't had before.
How many children have been photographed in the last 15 years? Do you have a running total or a close to amount? We
do. We're almost at 2,000 with an over 60% success rate of these children now living in an adoptive placement. So
that's fantastic.
Very successful.
And currently, how many, I'm going to throw or ask you for some statistics. I don't know if you have them or not, but how many children in the state of Alabama are currently in the foster care system?
Our last numbers are about 6,100 children are currently in foster care. The majority of those children are going to hopefully go back to their families. The whole goal, is reunification. The whole idea of foster care should be reunification, that while the children are away, the parents can get the help that they need, whether it be parenting, education, and that sort of thing. So that is another challenge during COVID. They can't do the typical visits that they can have with their kids that we were doing. They're not able to really do that during this time. And, I don't know about you, but anybody that has a young child at home, they can't, they don't have the attention span to do this. Yeah. So they're not even when the visits were done remotely, the parents weren't getting what they needed from their children, and the children weren't getting what they need from their bio families. But typically the majority of those kids will go home, and then we end up with about 25% who are children who are not in typical foster homes, or if they are in a foster family, that foster family is not planning on adopting. Those are the children that are referred to us.
Well, from the work that you guys do pre-pandemic compared to what you're able to do now, are there any things that you hadn't already described that you can't do, or is HGA able to really do the kind of work that's part of its mission?
I think a lot of the things that we do, we've actually have some new programs, which we're really fortunate that we started these programs in January of this year prior to the pandemic, which at first I thought, oh great, this was not a great year to be starting new things. But in the end, it's worked out well, one of them being a mentoring program. And the goal of this program is to really help our older youth who, before they age out of foster care, to have a person. Because research shows that a child, obviously children who are adopted are going to be able to have the support that they need into adulthood and hopefully decrease the negative outcomes, such as ending up in prison, homelessness, pregnancy at a young age, and kind of restarting that cycle. So one of the goals was to we created this mentor program. We partner with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So obviously we had an issue with this because you couldn't do community-based mentoring. We were just starting the program. We were just starting orientation. So thankfully we were able to pivot that into a Zoom orientation. And we have, just like before, have all these people that are sitting at home looking for something to do. And we've had an incredible turnout to these orientations each week. We actually have one today at 6 p.m. Where Big Brothers and Big Sisters has now pivoted to an e-mentoring program. So where it used to be a big or a little or mentor, you had to give an hour a week, or maybe it was an hour every 2 weeks, a visit with our kids. Now it's a 10-minute check-in. So it's they'll have an app and they'll be able to communicate and check in with somebody. So we are doing an e-mentoring. It's something that in some ways has opened up our pool of potential mentors, because you can actually live anywhere and mentor one of our children.
And if somebody wants, I don't mean to interrupt you, but if somebody wants to get involved in that program, who do they contact? What do they do to reach out?
So we're asking people to contact Kaylin Oliver. She's our mentor match specialist. Mm-hmm. And I can give you her email if you want. It's kaylino@heartgalleryalabama.com.
Okay. And also, guys, the clickable link to the website is in the show notes. So I'm sure you can find information there as well.
Correct. And it'll be every Thursday at 6 p.m. for the month of June anyways. We'll be doing that training. And if that doesn't work for you, she does it one-on-one. So
okay. That's excellent. That's something good that's come out of this pandemic, but something that usually is in the month of June. It's typically an annual fundraiser downtown at the Barons at the minor league ballpark. Obviously, he's not going to go forward this year, but share with us some of the fundraising, some of the other things that you guys have planned over the next couple of months into the fall.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate. I think every nonprofit will tell you right now, I think fundraising is one of our biggest challenges. Fortunately, one of the things that we typically do in the month of November, it's not typically a fundraising event as much as a recruitment event, but it's in a fun event. It's called the Heart Gallery Classic, and we go to the minor league ballparks across the state, and we invite our foster families and our children and our supporters to all come out to the game at the same time. And we are able to have one of our children throw out the first pitch, and we watch a ball game, and we have t-shirts, and the Nomberg law firm is an incredible supporter of this event. And unfortunately, we were trying to figure out a way to do this remotely. And we finally decided that it was not going to be able to happen. The games were not going to happen. And we are going to have to postpone this till next year. So we have our annual fundraiser, which is in September. We are also taking that a little different approach. It's called Heart Gallery Heroes. And at this event, we are able to honor our Karen Nomberg Volunteer of the Year, our Photographer of the Year, and our Exceptional Heart Award winner. And that is somebody who has supported the Heart Gallery in some significant way. And this year, our event is going to be Heroes at Home. And we're going to be providing meals. You can purchase a meal to support the Heart Gallery, and you will get a meal at home. And we're going to have a celebration for you at home, unfortunately. But we want to be able to still honor our volunteers and raise the necessary funds so that we can continue to do our work.
Well, that's from all of this, some real creativeness has come forth, and it just sounds like you guys are pushing forward your message and your mission the best that you can. For those of you just joining us, Michelle Bearman-Wolnek, Executive Director of Heart Gallery Alabama, is talking with us. We're talking about fostering of children and a little bit about adoptions and how they're in the state of Alabama are still dealing with this. Let's pivot a little bit, Michelle, in our talk. Let's talk about adoptions. And I know that's not your forte. I know that y'all, Heart Gallery Alabama, to my knowledge, is trying to promote the fostering system in Alabama, making awareness more well known. And y'all do such a great job of educating so many and getting the word out. But talk to us a little bit about how adoptions are still going forward, if they are at all right now.
Yeah, so obviously that's a challenge, because if the courthouse is closed, a lot of our adoptions, the greatest moment for us is when a potential family emails us and invites us to come to their adoption finalization. We make a big hoopla over here, because that is our goal, is to get our kids adopted. And so when we're invited, we bring them a portrait that we took of them. We have teddy bears, because you're never too old for a teddy bear. And we have their adoption day and everything, and we just make a big deal of it. And we bring a photographer to help capture the moment for this new family. And so unfortunately, all of those have been put on hold. Most of our adoptions have been able to be finalized, but they're just being finalized sometimes like through Zoom. Some of our courthouses have opened up and the judges have allowed that. And then some of them have been done just by signing a piece of paper, because for most people don't realize you don't actually have to go to court to be adopted. It's just sort of it's a monumental occasion, and it's something for the kids to remember and the families to be able to remember, but you can just be adopted by signing a piece of paper. And a lot of our judges are just signing off now so that our kids don't have to wait. So we've had a little bit of both. We had, some at home, some have been postponed, and some are just being done that way. So we're glad to hear that they're not being postponed.
But yeah. So the overall is that Heart Gallery is still doing its work. They figured out how to deal with the pandemic a little bit differently than has been in the past, and adoptions are still going forward. And Michelle, if someone wants to donate their time or their funds, resources, whatever it may be, or even a person who is a photographer, who do they get in touch with? How do they start that process if they just want to? Because I know during this pandemic, people are looking for things to do. They're looking to volunteer their time. They want to be involved. It's tiring just looking at all the walls in your house and just your family members. And as society is slowly rolling back out into some sense of normalcy, whatever that may be now, how can people get in touch with Heart Gallery Alabama?
So we actually have some great ways that people can get involved. One of the other new programs we had started was called the Heart Squad. And if you go to our website, it's heartgalleryalabama.com. You go on our website and there's information about every program that we're doing, from the mentoring to the Heart Squad. And what the Heart Squad is, if you go on a particular child's page, it'll say, do you want to be a dream maker? Each one of our kids is sending us a wish list of things, whether it be an actual experience or something that they really want. And so you can donate towards that, or you can become part of the Heart Squad and make that a reality for that child. We are also, during this time of us all being at home, we're asking our supporters and people out there to write letters. Pick a child on our website, write them a card, let them know you're thinking about them. Many of our kids do not have the opportunity to interact with the general public, and it can be very lonely. I'm sure you all are a lot more lonely than you were before. You're not around friends and family as much. And so we actually just got an email yesterday from one of the social workers who did go out and visit one of our kids, who said she was in tears when she got her card, that she knew that somebody out there was thinking about her and praying for her, and that's how much that meant to her. We have over almost 200 children on our website. There's got to be a child out there that you could connect to, and you send the card to us at our office and we will get it to them. So that is one easy way to help out if you can't help out, financially. We're always looking for financial donations to be able to keep our mission going. And so, from being a mentor to writing a card or a letter, and anybody can do it. We've had kids write other kids. It's been really an amazing experience to see.
Well, it certainly sounds very positive in what you guys have been able to do, the way you've pivoted and still pushing forward with the mission. And guys, if you're just joining us, I'm talking with Michelle Bearman-Wolnek, the Executive Director of Heart Gallery Alabama. We're talking about how they're continuing to help promote the fostering of children in Alabama. We also have talked a little bit about adoptions and some of the work that Heart Gallery is now doing in order to reach the public. And Michelle, before we get finished with our conversation, and I appreciate your time and sharing all of the resources and your knowledge, I want to give you the final word here. And I'm putting you on the spot just a little bit. For those families who are watching this, who've been thinking about, who've been contemplating either fostering or eventually adopting, what is it during this pandemic? What is something that they need to know about this process and about what Heart Gallery is doing that can help maybe continue to push them toward maybe a goal that they're seeking?
Sure. If you're at all interested in considering adoption, the first thing I might tell you is to not go to our website, because on our website you'll get to meet a child, and you may or may probably will fall in love with one or two of them, and you are not ready. The first thing that you have to do is you could call us, and we will refer you to where you need to go, but you need the training. Everybody that either fosters or adopts from foster care does a training that is called TIPS training, and it is a 30-hour training. So it typically meets once a week for 3 hours each night, and for 10 weeks. And so that actually just started back. Their first class, we don't do those classes, but our partners started in Jefferson County. I know they had their first meeting this past week. So they are starting back with these face-to-face visits. They're doing them in much larger auditoriums so families can stay socially distant, but they can still get the training that they need. And they are starting to do those home studies. And so after you've gone through the training, you will have a home study. You'll have a social worker come into your home and make sure that everything, that you have space for a child, that you're healthy enough to raise a child, and really help answer your questions and help figure out what the best child is for your family. Then you go to our website, and from there you can pick a child that you feel like would be a good fit and learn more about them.
Fantastic. Thank you again. Thank you for sharing all of this important work you guys have been doing for 15 years now. It's hard to believe that it's been going on that long. But guys, as we've been trying to do twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, we try to bring to you conversations with different parts of our society and how they're being impacted by the pandemic. And as Michelle has shared with us this afternoon, they're still doing their work. They're still getting it done. Don't think for a minute that it's not getting done. These kids, they need their forever families, and they're there, and you just need to get involved, make a decision and get involved. But thank you guys again. Thank you, Michelle. Please be safe, be smart, be patient, and we're going to get through this together. Hopefully it won't be much longer, but we never know. But guys, we'll catch you again next Monday and next Thursday with some more conversations. Y'all take care.
Bye. Thank you.